Hey, today we have a gel-tipped knot. I wanted to show it to you while it's still dry. The tips feel kind of crispy. Surely you can see the curl that many of the tips have in them. It almost feels like one side of the Velcro type system, not the little fuzzy side, but the other kind with all the hooks. And so I wanted you to see how it looks when it's just totally dry. This is a Frank Shaving Finest, Extra Dense Finest Badger. And I've got, as you can see, a couple of O-rings right there because it's just a little bit too floppy for me when I set it up. And I do like to let this guy soak for a little bit longer than usual since those spongy tips like to have some water absorbed into them. And so I guess you get a better feel if I let it soak for longer than just a few minutes. So I showed you that first. We'll be back in just a minute. All right. The razor we're going to use today, same one the last few days. The Gillette Vintage raised flat bottom. But instead of an open comb right here, if it was an open comb, this would be a new RFB. Gillette New raised flat bottom. But when it's solid bar, it's the Hybrid Tech. Gillette Hybrid Tech. Inside it, we're going to put my old Nacet blade. It's been through the ringer. Lots of shaves on it. Today is number 223. And here is the little area where we're doing the counting in this decade of use. But that gingerly, that paper is starting to feel worn. Here is the markings. Here are the markings. The X that has started out as an X. It's been worn a little bit, and then I put 3 dots there as a signature as well. And this is one where, yeah, I've got a lot of uses on it, but I'm also just shaving on one side. I just did that for grins, just to see what would happen. And I think it's kind of proof that flipping blades religiously to try to evenly wear them doesn't really matter too much. All right, the soap today is International Studies from summer break. It's their version 2 of the soap, of their soap base. They're in Kearney, Nebraska. Kearney is in the geographical center of the continental United States. I used to live in Omaha for a little while. Great area of the country to live in. Passed through Kearney several times. All right, this has got a great orange type scent, and it has a little bit of basil and Oakmoss, and what was that other? Can't remember what it was. All right, splash a little bit of water on my face. Musk, that's the other ingredient. It's got orange and maybe like Neroli, maybe some Bergamot or something, a couple different orange notes, and then orange related notes. And then it's got the musk as well with basil and stuff. All right, we'll also be shaving with my Santa Fe style bowl from Dollar Tree. You can see the different bevels down here. I think that really helped me last time. Let's see how it does again. I think it'll be great. Okay, the razor is loaded up. I think we're ready to load the brush. Okay. Shake most of the water out of it. It's my, you can, if you want to do a shortcut, you can definitely leave water in it and just do it like a predictable amount so you can replicate it each time. And then you don't have to add in as much water later on as you're building your lather and stuff. Let's do a 30-second load And we'll start at the 0 mark of the minute and make it real easy to remember when to stop. It's one of the first silver tips. So, well, it's really a finest. It's not a silver tip, but one of the first badgers I ever got. My first ones were whip dog badgers, and I'm so glad that I was advised to try that silver tip knot out, because it's still to this day one of my favorite knots. Comfy, soft, luxurious, really enjoyable. Rinsing out the threading on the tub here from that overflowed. Don't want that soap to build up in there. All right, got my face wet as a kind of a pre-shave, just to start the hair softening. And then we're ready to start working the lather up. Now, I think it was about 3 teaspoons of water I used the last time, but that was a different brush. That was a boar brush, I think. Different brush means that this particular brush may not pick up as much soap, or it may pick up more soap than I did the first time. And so that is likely going to change the amount of water that I need to put in my lather to make it right. So you have to be flexible. Just put in 1.5 teaspoons, because I know I'm going to need at least 2 teaspoons of water. This one has a pretty good splay to it. At the time when I joined the Reddit shaving communities, this was one that was recommended. It's not recommended too much anymore. I don't see it very often, but I'm glad I have it. It's a good one. The tips do gel, and what that means is that the tips on many 2-band brushes, if not most of them, are often a little bit too scrubby for people to enjoy, because that's a lower grade of hair than a silver tip. Now, it's prized for its backbone. A lot of people like that much backbone, but they wanted softer tips. So I don't know when the makers started doing it. Probably a while back. The brush people started treating the tips with bleach, or I would suppose it's bleach, some type of product like that, to break down the tips a little bit chemically, soften them up a little bit. And so that's why they curl when they dry. When you get the brush, it won't curl. It won't be curled. That'll happen when you start using it. I've heard of some brushes gelling up right away. This one gelled after just a few uses. I've heard some of them take a while to work, for the gel to form, the jelly tips. Because it does weaken the structure of the tips, you are probably looking at a little bit shorter of a brush lifetime than untreated tips, like with a lot of the silver tips. But if you have several brushes in your rotation, it's probably going to give you a whole bunch of years of use. So it's probably not going to be a big deal. And so what happens then is the tips will absorb a little bit of water during the pre-soaking phase while your brush is soaking. And then they'll turn into tiny little sponges at the end of the bristles. And so they'll give you this super soft face feel. This one gels up a little bit. They have your reputation among other shavers, but because of their softness, a lot of guys really seek after and enjoy gel knots. This lather's looking terrific. Building it up. We might be right there. And that's 3 teaspoons. Why don't we go ahead and stop there? Can always add more water if I need. Now this knot has such an easy splay that it's very convenient with a normal bowl without any kind of brush rest or anything, because the splay opens so much that it'll just sit vertically without any problem in the bowl. All right, wet my face one more time. I do have hard water here, and it's cool tonight. Don't use hot. Maybe someday I'll try a warm face lather. Warm lather. Definitely get the orange family of notes right away. This guy splays easily, as you can see there. He splayed a little too easy, and so that's why I had to add those O-rings at the base of the knot. So it's very comfortable. And this knot doesn't have a lot of what I might call excessive backbone of 2-band knots. Because I like medium backbone, and there's so many 2-bands out there with a lot more backbone than that. Yeah, this is starting to feel a little pasty. So what we can do, take my syringe, just add some droplets to the center of the knot there. And we can see this awesome lather that's starting to form around the edges as we have added more water. Lather improving, feeling more creamy, feeling more hydrated. Looks like this brush has picked up quite a bit more soap than my boar brush that I used initially, because I've almost put in a whole extra. Now I have put in a whole extra teaspoon in just this pass alone. So I'll add more water to my bowl. Feels great. Brush is just wonderful, and this Frank shaving brush is not a high-priced item, so it's easily obtainable. Had to step away for several minutes. I noticed a couple things. First, when I got back to the mirror, I noticed how dry the lather got on my cheeks. Now, around here, it's very nice. And so it's easy to just kind of spread that love everywhere else. and it's going to be a fine pass. And so what that could mean, it could be a couple things. I believe it was hydrated properly, and this looks really good. And so maybe I took it a little too far in terms of wetness. Maybe this soap wasn't designed to be that wet, but it also could be that maybe it needed to go a little bit further with wetness to kind of activate the lather a little bit. I did go ahead and add another teaspoon and a half to the lather, since I had to add more water to the lather on my face. I knew that the concentrate was still in the bowl, so that needed some water too. Mix that up. At first it looked super soupy, but I kept rotating it, pushing it through the brush. I don't do a pressing motion where I plunge the brush down like that. What I do is I push down and then I kind of stop after just a little bit of splay to force whatever lather is there in the bowl to go up into the knot and be circulated. That way we get a good consistent mixture. All right. I think if I had to guess, I think the lather probably is a little too thin, a little too watery. Tuggy for sure. Maybe I should have kept a little bit more dryness to it. Had a great lather the first time, so I must have just missed it by a little bit this time. All right, a little wash now, a little rinse. A little half rinse there. Now, let's see how this goes on. And I apologize, but I think in a minute or so, my phone is my recording device, and it is going to have an alarm go off. Well, this lather is nice. Feels great, very hydrated. And the other thing, I said two things kind of jumped to me as I was cut away there. And one of them was how the soap drifted away, dried up a little bit. And the other one is how the scent, it was reminding me of something. And what it reminded me of was, I think it's Clubman, Pinot Clubman. It has a scent called Citrus Musk. Not the usual standard Clubman, but Citrus Musk. And so if you like an alcohol splash that you want to have work with this and smell really, really similar, if not pretty much exact. My memory is it's kind of an exact match. There was that alarm kicking in. I hope that it kind of paused itself from recording before you had to listen. One of the nice things about shaving at night is I don't have my phone going off for about any reason, but I'm shaving a little earlier in the morning instead of at night. I think this lather just needs to be worked a little bit more, because even though it looked kind of thin on my face, thin in terms of translucency, not in terms of actual thickness. But when I went to rinse, man, I could feel the slick ingredients on my face, and so it's just possible this needed a little bit more time under the brush and in the bowl here. But I'm very happy with this lather. plentiful. So this brush definitely picked up more than the boar brush I used initially. You know, this soap base may want me to add water a little bit more slowly and build it up more slowly, and then maybe have a slightly thicker lather, thicker density to it as it continues to get more hydrated. There is that attribute with some soaps that it matters how quickly you add water. $223 uses, I'm still getting close shaves, right? Isn't that crazy? And the first pass was Tuggy, but the rest of them are smooth enough to where I don't even remember the tug. And that'll be something to think about as we move forward. I've always said that when the comfort decreases to a less than reasonable amount, it'll be time to stop using this blade. Tons of lather available to me here. Let's do another half pass. Half rinse is what I meant. Get that water out of the goatee. Don't want that to mess up my lather ratio. Goatee's long enough right now where it can do that. And I believe this is my fourth pass, but let's go ahead and do cheeks. Look fine, so let's just do a neck pass. This old blade just doesn't quite cut as easily. It still cuts, but it's not quite as efficient, not quite as effective as it once was. I'll switch and go that cross grain direction from the bottom side in this area, because that's my trouble spot. Shave tenderly over these areas where these tendons are right here, whatever these are on your neck, because those are humps, and so that means that there's more pressure right there when you go over them at the peak of the bump. Light touch. Yeah, I think I'm going to be happy with that. So full rinse now. So the citrus musk splash from Clubman is going to be the same scent or super close to it, but it's not going to have any skin goodies to it. It's mainly just scent and alcohol. The splash from Summer Break is probably going to be a lot better for your skin, have some nutrients and moisturizers and different skin food things to help you out. But if you like me and you didn't order the post-shave splash, then then that's a good scent match. Or later on down the road, if one runs out or something like that and you like the scent, check out that citrus musk from Clubman. All right, how does everything look? It's nice. Yeah, there's a few tips showing some length, but it's still wonderful. A great cut. I need to rinse a little bit more. And there we go. I'm happy with that very much. See what kind of post shave. I think I used sandalwood last time. Let's see what we have down here. You know, I think Sharp Dressed Man from Stirling has some similar notes. Maybe some of that kind of almost tart orange type scent is in here. It's definitely got some green as well. This is the Green Irish Tweed dupe from Stirling, and this is an older balm, and so I kind of want to use it up. Spreads on really easy if you do it when your face is still a little bit wet. See what I appreciate in the Sharp Dressed Man scent after you follow it up, after it follows a very citrus and musky forward scent. Many times that will train your nose in a certain direction. You'll try something else. Something totally different will come out of your secondary scent because your nose is used to this. So sometimes that's pretty fun. So, how much water did we use? 5.5 teaspoons for 30 seconds of loading with this particular semi-large, in terms of the bloom at least, Badger brush. So, how much lather did we have left over? Looks like I could get about 3 passes of lather from all this. And this is not really from even squeezing the brush out very much. It is slightly moving. Ah, nice, nice, hydrated well. Some might consider that too wet, that's okay. Each to his own. But I like the slickness of a well hydrated lather. Nice soft feel, very cloudy feeling, soft and feathery, and then but still a nice layer of slickness when you press in and actually touch skin to skin. Oh, and then you can check and see how your lather went inside your knot. Is it pretty much the same as what you shaved with? Is it richer? Is it thinner? And that if it's different, then that means you didn't quite get the consistent mix. But if that's your baby, if you like it that way, maybe you save time by not quite mixing up the soap exactly consistently where the brush was the same consistency as the lather outside in the bowl. Pretty much the same stuff. So, you know, whatever floats your boat. In a lot of areas of life, especially morally speaking, I believe that there are absolutes. But in shaving, there are very few absolutes. If you walk away with a shave that's comfortable, enjoyable, the way you want to enjoy it, and has the closeness goals that you personally like, that you want, then it's right for you. It's relative. I'm going to clean up some gear. Even things like a pre-shave. I don't do much of a pre-shave routine. Some people do. A lot of experienced shavers will try a pre-shave and then they'll just drop it because they find it doesn't really add too much to their routine. Some people really enjoy it. And so even if it's actually not bringing anything to your shaving regimen in terms of slickness or anything like that, that still doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it might be wasting your time, wasting a little bit of your money, but it's not wrong if you enjoy it. One guy said that as I dry my brush a little bit here, oh, you know what, let me show you. See, this is a jelly knot, and these tips the tips feel so wet that they almost feel like I haven't rinsed it very well. So I'm just going to shake it out here and look, the telltale sign of gel tips, how they're clumping together when they're wet. So this is just a really soft knot to shave with. You can even see some of the hairs on the outside that are separating, how curly the tips get. So we can dry it. So we don't get a lot of water buildup, and even then they'll still clump just a little bit. And then if you let it dry, all of a sudden it'll be hard to squeeze together because the curls will dry and develop here. Some people like that a lot. I don't like it very much. This one just gels a little bit, and so I think that's happy. Plus I'm able to bring it to you and show you what a gel type knot really works like. All right. Yeah, I think the Sharp Dressed Man is a nice follow-up to that citrus musky scent from the international studies. I think it's got some common ground, and then it takes it just in a slightly different way in terms of the greenery that the Sharp Dressed Man has, and some other notes that I can't really pick out. And there we go. So a good shave, happy with the closeness, face feels great, hydrated. The Stirling Balm is pretty good. There are some better ones out there, but I've got oily skin anyway, so I don't need a high strength, high moisturizing balm. Just something kind of good will do me just fine. All right, that was enjoyable. I like the scents, soap performance. Interesting how the soap just kind of dried out. I have to play around with that a little bit more and see if I can figure out whether it was too wet or too maybe a little too dry, that kind of thing. Enjoy using the Frank shaving brush. I wouldn't have a problem. If that were the only brush I had. It's soft, and after I added the O-rings, it was much more enjoyable to use. It focused the bloom just a little bit more, taking advantage of the backbone, and focused those tips at my face. At that loft, without the O-rings, it was actually splaying so much that I just felt like I was contacting my face with the center of the knot, and that wasn't the nicest, softest part of the knot, right? You don't want to do that. And so I was thankful to receive that O-ring idea a long time ago and put them on there, and that has saved it. Now, of course, I mounted that with silicone, and so I could yank the knot and find a handle that's a little bit more deep. I don't remember if I put a plastic washer in there for that knot, so obviously I could take that out, and then maybe I wouldn't need the O-rings. That's one of the great things about silicone. You can move knots around and tweak them pretty easily. I have not, when properly spread around and given enough of the silicone, which you don't need a lot, but when properly sealed up, I've never had a knot come loose with silicone. But even when I've maybe not put on quite enough glue, enough silicone, it is so easy to fix when the knot pops off. I've had that happen a few times, and you just scrape away the old silicone, make sure you put in a little bit extra more, and plop it back in, and you're fine. Easy, quick fix. All right, and I love the benefit of being able to customize knots and move them from handle to handle, or change the height, add or remove spacer type items, and it's easy to do with silicone. All right, there we go. I'm a happy camper today. Face feels good. I've got no irritation. That was not an alcohol splash, so I didn't get any tingling or anything like that. There we go. I hope there's something here for you. You guys take care. Stay safe out there with the virus. Be careful. Stay home if you can. Wash your hands, all that. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. Good night.